So hi everybody, it's John Nesbitt with the $1 Million Practice Builders Show, and this is one of those unique shows. We're gonna actually have two guests on from the same place, and the idea is you're getting twice as much value out of this one, huh? Okay. Now, as usual, the whole goal of the show is to bring you some actual useful information you can use to build your $1 million practice, to basically help as many people as you can in your area. You've got to be prosperous to be able to do that, quite honestly, in today's world. So we help you do that. Now, it's really unique here. This is actually the first time ever we've had the goal here, $1 Million Practice Builders, to help people build their $1 million practices. I ran across someone who has the exact same vision, the same goal. If you look at their website, their goal is to make 1,000 $1 million practices, because they've kind of come to the same conclusion I think I have, that in order for us to change and save American healthcare here, we got to be big. We got to reach a lot of people. We got to be promoting ourselves. We got to be those solutions in front of people before the other guys get in front of them, right? One of the things I love doing with our company is getting in front of guys and redirecting them, patients, and redirecting them into a better model of healthcare. And I don't think anybody's even more aligned than this that I've seen in a long time than the guys here at Clinic Masters. So I'm going to introduce here Dr. Matt Christenson and Dr. Rob Scranton. Thank you very much for being on the show today. The one thing I like to do first is tell me, okay, just give me a brief idea. What is it you guys do? What's your elevator pitch? What is it you do? How do you help practice owners reach their goals?
John, Dr. Rob, been in practice 20 plus years. I've been 11 to 12 years. And between Rob and I, we're both very entrepreneurial. We've been part of multiple groups, all of which have a lot of value. But there was always something missing, or something that, they were all sizzle and no steak, or they're all steak and no sizzle. So, very grateful for what we've learned. But at a certain point, Rob and I, even being in other groups, people were coming to us for answers and asking us what we were doing and how we got to the levels we were at. So finally, Rob and I just had a heart to heart and, just realized that, hey, we might as well be, we obviously have something of value. So let's get this to the profession. And that's when Clinic Masters was born. So.
Great. And what I like about you is it's a focus on result, right? The sizzle versus steak. There's a lot of guys who are better at selling than they are at delivering. Especially in the consulting world, they sounds great, looks great resumes, but at the end of the day, it only matters the results you get, right? So
that's, I think, John, that's one of the things we saw that was really missing. Just like what you said, there's people that can really sell, but if the patients aren't getting results, the doctors don't feel good about what they're doing. And that's what we work really hard. And, we're really great at marketing. We're really great at getting people to convert to care plans, but we're also really good at teaching the real practical steps, from A to Z, from how you greet the patient, how your staff greets the patient on the phone, all the way to them signing up for care, to following up, getting results, and helping the doctors know what the patients need to do long-term as far as maintenance and continuing to get that, to keep that result. And that's one thing we really saw missing, as well as figuring out when you get to $1 million practice, the old model of just adjusting more and more and more people, Dr. Matt and I both started to wear out. I think Matt had a real health crisis from the volume adjusting, and I noticed that. So I built and sold 2 practices, and mainly it was because of wearing out physically, in both cases. So we started focusing more on, niches, and that would allow us to charge higher fees as experts, get really great results for people, help probably even more people in a more significant life-changing way than just, fixing, sore necks and cricks in people's backs, and allow us to, work fewer hours overall, spend more time with our families. So that's kind of been a large part of our focus, is what would we want, as practitioners from a lifestyle standpoint, also provide a fantastic living and lifestyle for our family, as well as at the same time, helping as many people or more than we were before, and really a kind of a life change, type of scenario, really make a major impact for patients.
That's great. And I think you hit on what I think is actually your secret sauce. You just went, the secret sauce that seems like from looking at the outside is this niche concept that you have. That seems to what makes you guys very different, is concentrating on those. How's that work?
We've all heard the term, there's riches and niches, so the average chiropractor comes out, and Dr. Rob and I belovedly call this slam and ham. You basically see, we both had high volume practices. We're both Gonstead doctors. But when when you see 70, 80, 90 people a day, you know, you get home and the people that need you the most get the least of you mentally and physically, right? So, you know, I herniated a disc, I blew my knee. I mean, it was just, the Lord was telling me to slow down. So with niches, and, you know, as you know, instead of being like every other chiropractor in the same pond fishing for the same fish, you know, you basically say to heck with this pond and you jump over the mountain and you find one where there's no one. And, you know, when you figure out that message to market and you figure out, you know, you're always going to get a better response marketing. John, this is your expertise, where you actually pick a single condition and you market straight to that. You'll always get a better return. You'll get more serious people. You can charge higher fees. And that's kind of what, between Rob and myself, we went after. So
yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, that's brilliant. Yes, from a free marketing tip is if you go after someone, say knee pain or a specific complaint, it's you get the credibility, you get to differentiate yourself from everybody else in town. So you're different, and when you're different, you stand out. And you're different to those people who have that particular complaint. You get them in. And it's interesting because you kind of like you're able to charge more because you're actually helping more. Because this person more needs you than just someone else. You can also get him out of the, you know, if he's about to go to surgery or being told he needs medication for life or something, you're really able to help that person at a very deep level by going into that niche, because you become the authority of that. And you don't have to be the authority in one little area and another little area, several niches. You put that together and suddenly you've got a really nice practice there. You've got a lot of people, a lot of options. You offer a lot of things to people when they come in, and you can afford to keep doing it.
I think that's one of the things we saw too, John, that we tried to solve. You know, when we came up with this idea of niches, to me, it's relatively newish in the profession. I'd say just the last 5 to 10 years that I ever even heard of that, you know, period. I really like the idea of that. And I think most of the people we found that are teaching niches or coaching or consultant groups have never actually really done it themselves at a high level. And so I was so desperate to add this to my practice as I saw this is a way I could really help people and not wear myself out physically and have a long career. But I kept buying people's, especially knee pain treatment programs, and I would buy it and it was like an empty shell. It's like buying a fancy book and that there's no pages inside or anything to really tell you exactly what you need to do. And I think Dr. Matt and I spent a lot of time figuring this out and really, you know, perfecting it. For any doctor, we felt like, man, we've got this down to a point where I think any doctor could just follow our steps and repeat the same, get the same results that we got. And one of the other big problems we saw was that these programs would have, you know, that empty shell program you could buy, or they'd have some videos, but it just wasn't practical enough. When you try to, you know, put it into practice in your office, you're finding all these things that were missing. And sometimes you don't realize that until you try to actually implement a program in your practice. And so what we wanted to put together is something we do is a 2-day intensive boot camp, 2 days of, it's not fluff or it's not feel good jacuzzi type experience where you go there for a weekend, hear a bunch of stuff that makes you feel good and optimistic about the world. But when you get back on Monday, nothing really changes. We want this to be like you learn everything you need to do literally A to Z in 2 days on a Friday and Saturday. And you go back to the office on Monday and start getting results right away with those patients that have been telling you that they've had knee pain, but you maybe didn't know how to address it or address it in a niche way and actually get paid, you know, what you deserve to be paid because of your expertise and the results that you get with what we teach and with what chiropractic can do.
Yeah, I like that. I like the accent on actionable and useful. You can actually do something with it. I saw a statistic that of all the courses that are sold online, only 4% of them get completed. Actually, people actually make it to the end of the course, and only like some very small percentage of those guys actually apply it. And that's why I think it's important to have like a mentor or coach, someone say, okay, here's the result. Here's what we're going to get you to. We're going to start you here, and we're going to give you everything you need all the way down to where you get down to this result, and we're with you till you get there because we've done it. That's the other thing I have a beef with is consultants who are teaching things they haven't actually done themselves. Like, that's not right. You know, you got to have figured out, you know, you have to like you say, it's going to be all sizzle and no steak sometimes, right? What you say. So
yeah,
that's the norm.
That's funny, John, because we, you know, we join these groups, and any group Rob and I have joined, we've risen to the top. I mean, and we're very humble men, but we're very hard workers. But, you know, You'll never outgrow the need for a coach, but you will outgrow certain coaches. So, you know, when the gurus of these groups are asking us for our protocols and they're asking us for, what do you do here and here? You know, there's a sign you have something. And you know, Rob and I have come to find out a lot of these people having practiced in years, they never had a big practice. You know, so I'm still in the trenches every day. You know, we're 100 to 200 a month. I do 3, 4 niches. And like Rob said, when you come to our boot camp, we show you A to Z what we know. That's taken us decades to learn, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to which you can go home Monday and have an A to Z plan. And if you repeat it, your life will change, personally and professionally.
Wow, great. They say you don't know how to do something until you can explain it to somebody else, right? You really don't know what you're doing until you can actually explain it to somebody else successfully, and they can then do it. That's how you know someone's actually mastered something, right? So tell me, what kind of results have you seen from this, from leading guys down this different direction of how they're practicing?
Well, it's been kind of fun because we've seen kind of really two totally separate types of practices that we've been able to help. Dr. Matt and I kind of got a little notoriety in our profession because I opened my second practice, and focusing on niches, we did 55,000, you know, all cash collections. The first 5 weeks we were open in a state we never practiced, didn't know anybody, and hadn't had any previous track record in. And Dr. Matt went out and did the same thing when he moved to North Dakota and did 60,000 all cash collections his very first month. And we were both to $1 million practice within a year and a half. And I think that's a little bit unprecedented, you know, to a large degree, when you think that probably only less than 1% of our profession ever reaches $1 million in collections. We did a research on that. There are 55,000 chiropractic licenses we could find in the United States, and only 623, I think, that reported over $1 million in gross collections to the IRS. That's a pretty small, you know, percentage. So that's a really unusual and unique thing. And to do it that fast, we have doctors that come in that own 2 or 3 practices, are already doing over $1 million, that want to add another niche service to keep an associate busy, or give them a specialty they can really work and focus on. And we've helped doctors that are, you know, less than a year out of school, you know, do huge numbers. I think one of our doctors, you know, 8 months out of school, he'd already collected $150,000 in a month from, you know, Dr. Matt's teaching. I work mostly with him but what we're teaching doctors on weekends here at Clinic Masters.
Yeah, see, that's how you know you've got something for real, and it's not just some personality driven thing or some big marketing program for a consultant, that you did it once and then you did it again, and then when you teach other people, they do it too. That shows there's actually a technique, a technology. There's something going on there that's not just guesswork, or you're just a great salesman, you're really good at closing or something, right? It's not, oh, well, he can do it, but I can't do it thing as well. That's what gives me the most hope when I see someone like you come along, that you've got it figured out how to do this. Like, I'm a marketing guy, and I can help any practice with marketing. Great. But you got to have 25 other pieces in place to make good marketing work.
Sure.
You know, I mean, you can't just have great marketing. It doesn't go anywhere. You know, it's fun for a while, but it doesn't result in what people want. It's all those other pieces that have to be in place. Everybody says they want new patients, but they really need, in my opinion, they need a program. They need a set of procedures and systems to get them to the growth they want. Because, you know, say someone sent in 50 new patients to most guys, they would explode. They wouldn't be able to service them. They wouldn't be able to bill them. They get it wrong. Things are crazy. You need all the pizzas in there. And that's what I'm just begging for guys to do who come to us, who want big practice. I'll go, great. How's your practice? If it's not good, I can't make it. I can't make it good with marketing. It takes something else to get to good. Now, good marketing then takes you from good to great. That's where I'm at, right? But systems, that's what I love about you guys. You got some idea, you can repeatable thing. Yeah. So that's
John,
such a different, yeah.
John, to piggyback on that, like Dr. Rob said, you know, when we say A to Z, we mean A to Z. So it does, you know, you can hire a company, a customer factory that will flood you with patients, but if your staff is unmotivated, they don't know how to do a phone script, they don't know how to collect the first visit fee over the phone, whatever that may be, $49 or $249. If they walk in, you got cobwebs, stained ceiling tiles, you know, Dr. Rob and I always joke, you can't charge Mercedes practice, but give a Buick experience, you know? So when Dr. Rob said we do A to Z, I mean, we go through all that. because there's so many places it can go wrong. You know, when chiropractors get a yes, and they get a yes on a big level, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 grand, that means you did a lot right. And you need to reward yourself, your staff. I mean, high five. But that's the stuff that we teach at Clinic Masters that we never found anywhere, but we both have know the value and the importance of. So
Yeah, I can. Yeah, that makes total sense. We did a little research here once. We were trying to figure out why one client would get, say, 50 or 100 appointment requests and book, a bunch of them, 60 or 80% of them, and the other client would not get hardly any of them, right? And we actually found out it wasn't the front desk had not been trained how to handle them. They hadn't. It was that the doc didn't know how to train them. Even the doc didn't know, so he couldn't train the person. He just kind of went off some stuff he found on the internet or whatever, right? Some random things that came along that had maybe not been tested out or tried out. So having something proven that's already been vetted, that's worth a lot. And once the top of the practice knows it and you put it in, it goes in and stays in. Otherwise, guys get stuck with they have the superstar front desk person who holds them hostage because they don't know how to replace her. What a wonderful thing when you know what your systems are. You say, okay, well, so-and-so has to leave. Okay, I can replace that person, gives you a certain freedom,
That's super important, John. And that's one thing that Dr. Matt and I also recognized is a lot of these doctors that can get all the information, have the knowledge, but if their staff don't have it, the doctor can have the knowledge and just be too busy or too lazy to train the staff or just not be interested in it. And so at our weekend boot camps, we provide that as well. They can bring their staff and they're in a separate room and they're getting trained for those same 2 days to support everything that the doctors are learn how to use, different pieces of equipment and things that they need to know how to do. And most every doctor that comes to a boot camp that didn't bring their staff will come back to the boot camp and bring their staff the next time because they're talking to the other doctors and seeing the staff, how excited they are that are not their staff that aren't there, and realize like, wow, I just want to have them trained and be really excellent, in 2 days over a weekend. And then it's something I don't have to do. And I've got extremely high quality staff. Sometimes they find their staff are way more capable than they ever assumed that they were. People that they were thinking about getting rid of, now they want to keep them because they were just lacking some training.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, that is you ever had that experience? You went into some convention or something somewhere alone, you came back and tried to tell everybody what it was like, or try to infuse that, like give them that whole experience just through it's really difficult. I think that whole group concept is the only successful model to use because it's really too hard to bring that torch back from the mountain and light everybody's fire because you got other things to do, right? But you get everybody there, have the same experience, it's kind of a group building thing. That's great. Okay, I have a question I love to ask almost every guest. What is it that's most misunderstood about what it is you guys deliver? Like, what's the most misunderstood thing when you're talking to somebody about perhaps doing your program or coming on board with you guys? What's the biggest misconception you have to kind of get them over?
I think getting lumped in with all the other consultants and chiropractic management groups and so forth that they think that they're going to do, that they have the assumption that they're going to come to our boot camp or our coaching, they're going to get a few scripts, and it's going to sound really salesy, and they're going to be taught how to do lunch talks and spinal screenings, like the same things that were going on 20 or 30 years ago. And one of the unique things, especially about our knee pain niche, is we teach doctors to no longer have to sell by getting that patient an unbelievable result experience on their very first visit using what we call a trial or test treatment that makes them get a better result than they've had with anything that they've done and any surgeries or medical procedures that have happened, to where they're telling us consistently it's 50 to 80% better than it was 15 minutes ago when I walked into your office. And then it's just a matter of, okay, well, how do we go about this? What's it going to take? When do I need to be here? And what's it cost? And what are the options? And they want your care rather than, so, when you flip that table, now the patient's pursuing you instead of you pursuing the patient, and it just changes the whole ball game. And I think that's something that people probably really don't understand about what we're trying to get across to the doctors about how this experience is practicing this way compared to what they've been used to before, or probably what they've learned and other consulting or management companies they've been to that may have left a bad taste in their mouth. Dr. Matt and I have actually done this ourselves. At least we both had a couple different practices at a very high level. He's bought and sold one and started another. I've bought and grown and sold to. And, we know what we're talking about, and we know what the doctors need on a practical level.
Right. Okay, good. So that's the key differentiation between you guys and someone else, is that you've done this and you've repeated it, and you've got these you can just hand over the keys to somebody, really, of course, guide them through it and get them a similar result. Most likely, obviously everybody's different, but yeah. Okay. So that's the key difference then.
And imagine that from a doctor's perspective. Sorry, most of the time with, whether it's, neuropathy or chiropractic, to some degree, we're selling hope in the future. Whereas with this, we're selling a result the patient has already experienced. So I just want the doctors to think about that. What a complete, 180, flip that is compared to what most of us are used to when it comes to that processing a new patient experience.
All right. Okay, good. That's another key difference, because look, some practitioners are really good at selling, some are not. Some are just different gifts in different directions. If you can take the pressure off of having to have all these extra skill sets and just focus on care, you get better care, I think. Just from where I'm saying, I'm not a practitioner, but it's just from a consumer side. I go, I'd rather have my doctor know a lot. If I can go in and get an immediate result, that buys my faith and my trust for the future.
It's a lot easier to open your pocketbook and give somebody $5,000 if you just experience something that's better than it's ever been in 10 years. And versus, hey, let's do all this, and in 3 months, we'll all hope it's better.
Yeah, right. And you just hit on something too I want to mention. This is a little pet peeve of my own, perhaps. Not charging enough. So many practitioners do not charge enough because, in my opinion, they've tried to sell at a higher price, failed, got kind of sheepish about it, and sort of backed down the price to try to make the sale easier, which in a weird way makes it harder, right? And I also know that once you're down to a certain point, you can't afford to market and advertise effectively. So then you're just down to referrals only or something. Because if you can't afford, if you're able to get $5,000 on a case easily, then you can. I'll tell you, you can go on par with the clinic down the street. The other guys who have the $1 billion competitors we all have out there, the bad guys who are like Cut and Drug Club. Those guys have billions of dollars to advertise a market with. And if you don't have ability to be in the market and be with them, you can't make a difference. But if you charge enough, you deliver enough value to the person, you can charge enough, feel good about it, then you can actually market and advertise and put your stuff out everywhere and start to compete with them in your local area. Because you can beat the Cut and Drug Club in your local area. You can't beat them across the country, but you only have to beat them where you live. And be a solution, become the health authority where you live, and all the rest of us will take care of the rest of the people in every other little town, and that's how we win. So I like the idea of taking the pressure off of them so they feel good about being able to have those big package prices. Because a lot of guys hear, 5,000, whoa, maybe in California or something, but no. I've got people on, we've got a bunch of clients, and we've got guys, some charge $1,500 for something, and the other guys, like in the next state over in a very similar market, charging $3,500 for the same thing. Right? It's just a mindset thing. It's a confidence thing. So if you've got something which helps guys have that confidence on that, when they sit there and look eyeball to eyeball with the new patient and say, did you like that? Yeah. Would you like more of that? Sure. Well, here's the plan. That's so good. That's such a breakthrough. That's got to help.
We teach our docs, John, you never apologize for your fee, because people are paying you for what they're paying you for, what's taken Rob and I 11 and 20 plus years to learn, that we can do it in 5 minutes, so they're paying us for the years that it's taken us to get to being able to do it in 5 minutes. And not only that, you're paying them for what you're helping them avoid. If you can help someone avoid I'd say probably 2 out of every 10 people we have in our clinic already have their knees replaced, can't walk. Clearly medicine has failed them. And you just have to provide a great experience, provide results like Dr. Rob hit on. Wonderful service, we're thinking Ritz-Carlton experience. And when you do all those things, the fee is it's the easiest part of the transaction. And so,
well, when it's worth it, people have no problem giving it to you, right? When you're apologizing or backing away from it, I'm so sorry. I have to, what is that, right? This like a confidence or something, or it might signal that to somebody inadvertently. So
people will always be able to afford what they value. So whether that's that 84-inch TV that they got on layaway, or it's that brand new car they can't afford, when we're talking about someone's health care, it's up to you to show them the value, and clearly people will always be able to afford what's valuable. So when people say no, they didn't see the value.
That's a great quote right there. I'm going to use that. It's all right. I'm going to attribute that to you. People can always afford what they value. So if you're a practitioner helping someone with their knee pain and you just didn't get them to value it, they didn't see it, right? Because we all know the story of the guy in the old beat up pickup truck who shows up and has a $10,000 case, like because he wanted to pay for that. That was his thing, right? People do find ways. If you can help them, they'll get the help. And if you feel good about your delivering, you're delivering great service. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And that lets you then do the better thing of seeing more patients. The straight up, I've noticed the bigger the fee, the bigger the practice. The bigger the average patient. But it's what from my own reality of as a marketer, I've seen. If somebody tells me tell me how big your average practice patient case is, your new patient value is, I can tell you how big your practice is or going to be. It's a correlation. I mean, my research might be different, but that's what we found. Because the bigger guys can afford to market and advertise and add extra services and extra staff and have like great waiting rooms. And it's just a gorgeous thing, over time. You don't get that when you start initially, but you can build that over time. Anybody can. And that's what I love about it. All right, good. So what is this like to implement your system what's it look like to implement your system?
Well, we encourage, doctors, it's a little bit different. Like we said, brand new doctors are starting out of practice. In some ways, it's kind of good because they haven't developed bad habits. They haven't had that experience of feeling like they've charged a certain amount and had patients saying no to them. They're really great in a lot of ways that they come and they can see or sense the Dr. Matt and I know what we're talking about, that we're the real deal. And they sort of almost just start implementing without questioning what we're doing. And they start seeing, 3, 4, 9 out of 9 their first cases when they're bumbling their way through everything, all sign up and say yes. They just take off like a rocket at that point. So those are kind of fun in a way because don't have all those mental hurdles, to break through. As far as the doctors that have been doing it a while and maybe have had some of those hangups and some of those bruises in practice, if they've had a practice for a while, the great thing is they have a database of patients that they've treated for chiropractic or other conditions. And so many people have knee pain conditions that we treat them. We've got already made internal marketing programs. We start them there so that they can just market, to those diamonds in their own backyard, so to speak. Then they start getting results with people that already know, like, and trust them, that they've had results before. And all of a sudden they say, wow, people are paying this $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a case. And holy cow, this is so much easier than what I was doing before when I was having to sell really hard, like $1,500 care plans and almost begging people to start. And I was doing a lot of bargaining and, negotiating with them on how many visits and what price and all this kind of stuff going back and forth. And I don't have to do that because I'm just selling what they've already, experienced. And then once they see that vision, working almost with zero marketing costs to some degree, and then they can start to see the potential, then, we send them to Customer Factory, because I'm sure you're a marketing guy, John, that, that you don't really have a business until you can purchase patients on demand and create any size business you want, as long as you have the back end fulfillment services, already in place to manage whatever that is that you can drive in by purchasing, those customers.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, this is like you just mentioned. You mentioned on one of our favorite tricks here. A little trade secret to we start every client out with database reactivation, which is what you talked about doing, because we just start on send a series of messages out to their database, and it immediately pays for our program, right? So that's how we go. Okay, good. Like you're already in the black. You've got money now for the future, and you're ready to roll. And then you're getting used to doing things. And then when you're paying for marketing after that, it becomes really, a lot of guys say they love to be a referral practice. They want to be all referrals, whatever, but the math does not work. 100% of people don't refer. It just doesn't work. I wish it did.
Grow too slow.
Yeah, you die. And what's happening? You end up in a small little space with 2 staff and not enough going on. And meanwhile, the other guys are down there marketing, the cut and drug club, as I call them, are down there just marketing like crazy on every billboard and thing you can find. You're getting crushed. The people don't even know you exist. So if you get out there, go ahead, get your friends on board first, get some confidence with the familiar patients so that you know what you're doing. You get some of those closes, you get some of that money coming in. So you've got the resources to then go out and set up a machine that brings in a consistent flow of qualified new patients. So then you're off to the races. And I think that's how you build $1 million practice. But you need that first step, which you guys give, which is the systems, because you can't start with just spending a ton of money on marketing. That is the wrong way. I'm saying that as a marketing guy. I'm just straight up. If you don't have the rest of it in there, don't even try. You'll hurt yourself. So,
yep.
All right, good. So, all right, well, look, you're having boot camps. How often do you have these? I mean, have we missed it? Is it over? When do you have another one? What's happening? You know,
We have one coming up here on July 5th, 15th, and 16th.
16th and 17th, Dr. Matt.
16th, 17th, excuse me. And that will be our knee boot camp. And then we have one coming up after that in September. So we do it about every 2 months. Dr. Rob, you want to talk about our webinar this week?
Yeah, we've got one this Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Central Time. And we'll be talking about one of the big things we're going to focus on. We'll talk about this knee pain niche and a little bit about our boot camp, but we're also going to give away and go through the exact script that we teach the doctors and the CAs and the CA training about how to schedule those new patients and collect payment up front over the phone. And so that way you can start to eliminate, when you get a big practice, a lot of doctors don't realize this because they've got a lot of openings or blank spots and holes in their weekly treatment schedule anyways. But when if you want to get really big, you can't really have blank spaces or spaces that go unfilled in your practice schedule during the week. And that includes people not showing up or canceling at the last minute. And when somebody's already paid you for their new patient appointment ahead of time, you virtually eliminate no shows or cancellations or reschedules and that sort of thing. And if people don't want to do that, it sort of eliminates them, as more than likely we consider they're probably a tire kicker anyway. So thank you very much. That still helps us a tremendous amount because we're constantly filling those slots with new patients calling in from customer factory marketing or ongoing internal marketing or whatever else we're doing as well.
Yeah, that's a key skill to have. And to be able to teach your front desk and have as a system that's in your office, that magnifies your ability to do almost any marketing. I mean, from a marketing point of view, to be able to collect that up front and have a high show up rate, knowing they're there, and not go through that depression when you had 5 people scheduled and 3 people showed up, or you have these holes, and you're like, what, nobody's in the office now. That's a terrible feeling, right? So it gets around that whole problem, which I think is great.
Sure. I remember that my first year in practice, I think I went to a mall and did a spinal screening like we were taught 20 years ago. And I thought I just killed it. I signed up 19 patients, in a day on a Saturday there. And I was like, man, I'm going to do well in this chiropractic thing. And then as the week went in, they were scheduled. No show. I just kept getting more and more and more depressed. I found myself. I think 3 of those 19 actually came in, and maybe one actually signed up for a care plan of 6 months or so like that. So it went from the highest of highs to the most depressing ever. But that was an early experience. But then you realize when you're running a practice that's doing 6 figures a month every single month, you just can't have those at all. And it'd be scary, weird for doctors, but that's something we're just going to give away. I think that's very valuable on our Wednesday seminar. So we'll walk through exactly, how to do that in a script, and we'll even hang around and answer any questions doctors have about how we do that. If that sounds like so far outside their experience or ability to implement, we'll be happy to hang around and, and help walk them through that individually if we need to.
Great. And that's another clue that you guys are different. You're willing to give away some of the goodies just to be good guys. Okay, I would say other people who are in the coaching business can't give away anything because they don't have anything to give away. It's all sizzle, right? When you got some steak, you can give a piece of, you go to Costco, they give you a little piece of that steak because it tastes good, right? They know you're going to like it. So yep. I really appreciate that you do that. I try to follow the similar philosophy. Just give away the good information to prove that you have what it is, and people will come to you for the rest. Now, I tell you, there's going to be somebody who sees this video on Thursday morning and goes, oh, I missed it. How do they reach you otherwise? How do they find out more information from you guys otherwise?
They can reach out to Susan is a gal that works for us who basically is our go-to. She's the one that qualifies doctors to see if they fit kind of our criteria, if we'll be a good fit. And again, that's our point of contact with Clinic Masters.
We kind of go through a little bit of a screening process. It's not we don't want doctors to be intimidated by that or whatever, but we just want to make sure that it is a good fit for doctors. We don't want anybody to join Clinic Masters and get hurt or feel like they got hurt or get the better end of the bargain. Like you said, John, I mean, usually if we start working with doctors and we teach them that internal marketing program and they've learned the A to Z of everything, we want them to recover every dollar that they ever would have invested with us in the first month or two. So then it's just, cream for them after that point, and they're nothing but extremely pleased and feel like this is the best experience that they've ever had. Because Matt and I have been in this profession a long time, and we've gotten burned by everybody on the planet on different things, whether it's equipment manufacturers or consultants ourselves. So we know what it's like to be sitting there like, geez, should I do this or sign up? Are these guys really going to help me? Is this really, we've been there and not received what we needed. And so we thought, if we're going to jump into this realm, we want something different for chiropractic, for our profession, than what we've experienced over the last 20 years. It's unfortunate that a lot of the biggest names that you see on stage at chiropractic seminars and events are fleecing chiropractors in a lot of cases, and just not providing that value, and mocking us and making fun of us behind our backs and at their fancy dinners in the hotels after the events are over. I've been in those rooms and seen that happen, and it just sickens me. I don't want that to only be people's experience when it comes to working within this profession.
Yeah, I agree. And the best revenge is living well, right? Like, just go out and just win. Like, let's accomplish this target that you guys have. And I officially signing on with your goal of getting 1,000 practitioners to $1 million plus. I'm in that club with you guys. I mean, that's a goal that I decided I work the same math.
In 3 years, John.
3 years.
3 years is the goal. You got to have a time limit to your goals. So 3 years is met.
Without a deadline, nothing happens.
A whole 3 years? I was thinking like next month. Okay, fine. 3 years is fine. No, okay. I agree with that too. Like, let's, I think it's time, by the way. It's time. When you look at American healthcare, it's time. It's no more waiting around. You can't, it's getting to be too many drugs, too many weird things going on out there, hurting people left, right. They can't even sue for the stuff anymore. It's really getting pretty egregious. It's definitely time for us to swing into action and show people, because people will go to the better mousetrap as long as you let them know you have it. As long as you're really able to say, hey, I got the mousetrap, people will come to the better mousetrap. So anyway,
that's where we see this as a good partnership, because we have you deliver that message and get people's attention. And we're going to train these doctors to deliver the goods when they come in there. So people think of their chiropractor first before they think of, those other things, those other alternative medicine activities. Yeah,
those weird medical things where they stick stuff at you. Yeah, actually, it's funny. I did some research a while back, about 15 years ago. I did research on what does the public want from healthcare. Like, you just do marketing. I'm a marketing guy. You do market research. The market research. What do you want from healthcare? What they wanted back then, it's about 20 years ago now. They wanted immediate results. That's what they said. They wanted immediate results. Okay. Flash forward now, 20 years with the drug manufacturing commercials. Whether the little whisper thing may cause anal leakage, all that terrible things they talk about, right? Now you ask people, what do you want from healthcare? They want, and the best quote is, healthcare without side effects. When you ask people what they want, healthcare without side effects. If you're doing a marketing campaign, you don't have a tagline, just go ahead and use that. I know it's researched out. That is a pretty broadly researched idea. And that shows that the public are actually getting aware that, when someone has to do all that 30 seconds of whispering about all the side effects out of the middle of a commercial, they actually use a different tone of voice when they do those commercials. They use a loud tone.
Drop lower, more monotone.
They actually do that so you can't hear it. They actually do drop it. So it's inaudible. It's hard to hear. It's on purpose. It's a whole technique of that.
Well, we also teach a neuropathy boot camp as well, John. And that's one thing. I've been in practice, over 22 years now. I've been treating patients. And it used to be with peripheral neuropathy. The vast majority of patients that I would get in the office were dealing with that neuropathy because of diabetic related issues. But that's actually become a very small percentage. The vast majority of patients that I see for peripheral neuropathy now are statin drug induced neuropathies that they're dealing with. So it's completely flipped.
Oh no, they're totally safe, man. No problem. That's what they were. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm not surprised to hear that, but I'm sorry to hear that, because that's so unfortunate. It was the miracle drug of 10 years ago becomes the miracle problem after the disaster 10 years later. And
they're not even medical doctors. It's illegal to prescribe statin drugs in Switzerland, France, and Germany. So that should tell you something. They've got a socialized healthcare system where they actually, have to rein in costs and do what's best and most efficacious for the patients. So that should really tell us something about the drug classification.
Wow, I didn't know. That makes sense, though. Okay, good. Well, we're all pulling on the same rope, and at this point, we're probably preaching to the choir. Anybody's watch this, watch the video. They're on our team, right? So anybody who's watching, and you know, if you feel like you want to take that next jump in your practice, contact these guys. I mean, I've been working with Matt for a little while, back and forth with our company and stuff, and he's just, I mean, any of my staff who talk to you, Matt, are like, you're the Dr. Matt's the greatest, nicest guy. He's so nice. You were talking to somebody the other day at my office here. You don't realize that was actually my daughter you were speaking to, and she says, "Who is this Dr. Matt Christenson? He's a really nice guy." I mean, I love it when it's the real deal, and you can and hook real people, people who have problems with people who have solutions. I love doing that. That's really what marketing is all about, in my opinion. But you guys are a solution to some of these guys' problems.
John, to piggyback too, one thing I think sets Dr. Rob and I apart, we're very approachable and we're very down to earth. I know Dr. Rob and I both grew up with humble beginnings, and you know, which drove us and has helped us get to where we're at, but we've never forgot that. So, you know, Rob's my mentor and my best friends. You know, we're two different personalities, but we work good together. But we literally, you know, when we got together, this is about our client's success. It's not our egos. It's a lot of these guys walk around with their hair gel and their 3-piece suit, their $500 shoes, and they think, you know, pride will cost you more than anything. So Rob and I are very down to earth. We're very honest. We tell you the way, whether you like it or not is on you, but we tell you this is what you need to do. And that's one thing Dr. Rob and I have really prided ourselves on. There's no sleight of hand. When you come to our boot camp, your life will change, whether it's professionally, personally, financially, or all three, hopefully all three. So I'd say that's what sets us apart too, is we're just good people. We're good humans.
Well, that's been my experience so far. I'll vouch for that. I'm very happy to be associated with you at the Customer Factory, and also to put your message out here on $1 Million Practice Builders, because that's what we're doing. So good people working together can beat a bad situation, which is what we have out there. So we'll keep doing that. All right, good. Well, I think that's a good place to end off here. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys being on the show today. And we're going to put your links and stuff up on the screen and anywhere else around the thing, so people can get to the webinar coming up and then the boot camp later on, and also just find you generally if they want to reach out to you and find out more about what you do. I think it's a wonderful thing. So thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Hey, thanks, John. We'll be talking soon.
All right, good.